In the spring of 1857, a shepherd named Podrigo de Lay placed his hand against a granite sphere half buried in the peat of County Antrim and felt it vibrate. It was just after midnight. The newly installed telegraph line to Belfast hummed 300 yards away, carrying its invisible messages through copper wire. But this was stone singing. By dawn, O'Delay had convinced his brother to help him dig. What they unearthed would become one of Victorian Ireland's most persistent and peculiar mysteries: perfectly round granite spheres that appeared to respond to electromagnetic signals, studied by a scientist who would vanish before his research could be verified, and dismissed by authorities with a haste that still fuels speculation more than a century and a half later. The question isn't whether the stones exist. Dozens of witnesses documented them, and fragments remain in private collections today. The question is what they were, and why their discovery was so thoroughly erased from official record. Ulster in the 1850s was a landscape caught between worlds. Ancient dolmens and ring forts dotted fields now being surveyed for railway lines. Telegraph wires, the Victorian internet, were being strung across bog and heath, connecting Dublin to Belfast, London to the edges of empire. It was a time when the modern and the mythic occupied the same ground, often literally. The spheres were found near Ballymena, in a region known locally as the Singing Fields, long before any telegraph wire arrived. Folklore held that certain stones in the area produced low tones during storms, though this was typically dismissed as wind moving through cracks or the expansion of minerals. What Podrigo de Lay and his brother Sean discovered was different: 7 granite spheres, each between 18 and 24 inches in diameter, so perfectly round that local stonemasons insisted they couldn't have been shaped by hand. The tolerances were too precise for the tools of the era. The brothers, illiterate but shrewd, understood they'd found something valuable. They contacted Father Brennan of Ballymena, who kept meticulous parish records. His entry for April 23, 1857, describes 7 stone orbs of exceeding smoothness, discovered in peat at depth of 4 feet, each possessed of a curious property whereby they emit a low tone when the telegraph is in operation at night. Father Brennan's skepticism is evident even in his careful documentation. He notes that he personally witnessed the phenomenon on 3 occasions, always after dark, always when messages were being transmitted along the Belfast line. He describes the sound as similar to the singing of a wine glass when a wet finger is circled upon its rim, but deeper, and with a quality that seems to come from within the earth itself. The discovery attracted attention from Dublin's Royal Irish Academy. In May of 1857, Dr. Cornelius Blackwood, a geologist and amateur electrical experimenter, made the 70-mile journey north to investigate. What he found both fascinated and disturbed him. Dr. Blackwood was 43 years old, a widower with a reputation for meticulous empiricism and a willingness to investigate phenomena that more prestigious scientists dismissed out of hand. His field notes, preserved in the Academy's archives until they were misfiled in 1862, provide the most detailed account we have of the spheres. Blackwood confirmed the geometric precision. The largest sphere deviates from perfect roundness by no more than 1/16 of an inch across its full circumference. The granite is of a type found nowhere in Ulster. It most closely resembles material quarried in the Mourne Mountains, 40 miles distant, though with peculiar crystalline inclusions I cannot readily identify. He documented the acoustic phenomenon with scientific precision. The humming occurred only at night, only when the telegraph was actively transmitting, and only when atmospheric conditions were specific: clear skies, low humidity, minimal wind. The sound frequency appeared to correspond to the rate of telegraph transmission. Rapid signaling produced a higher pitch than slower messages. Most remarkably, Blackwood discovered that the spheres were not solid. Using a stethoscope pressed against the granite, he detected hollow chambers within each sphere, and something he described as a sensation of shifting, as though the interior contains loose material that moves when the stone vibrates. His hypothesis, published in the Academy's Proceedings in August 1857, was cautious but suggestive. Blackwood proposed that the spheres were experimental devices, possibly military in origin, designed to test principles of electromagnetic resonance for long-distance signal transmission. The granite casings, he theorized, might contain metallic cores or wire coils that responded sympathetically to the telegraph's electromagnetic field, essentially functioning as primitive receivers or amplifiers. The implications were staggering. If the British military had been experimenting with wireless signal transmission in the 1840s, a decade before Blackwood's investigation and decades before Marconi's famous demonstrations, the strategic advantages would have been immense. Why abandon such promising technology? Blackwood suggested two possibilities: either the experiments failed to achieve practical range, or they succeeded so well that the military classified the work and destroyed all evidence. The paper created a minor sensation. The Times of London ran a dismissive piece calling it "provincial fantasies." The War Office issued a terse statement denying any knowledge of experimental communication devices in Ireland. And then, in October of 1857, Dr. Cornelius Blackwood failed to appear for his scheduled lecture at the Royal Irish Academy. His rooms in Merrion Square were found locked from the inside, his papers gone, and no trace of the man ever surfaced again. The official explanation was accident or suicide, a despondent widower, perhaps, who'd walked into the River Liffey. But colleagues noted that Blackwood had recently remarked on developments that would vindicate my Ulster research. A housekeeper reported seeing a military carriage outside his residence the evening before he vanished. And his landlord discovered that Blackwood's rent had been paid in advance for 6 months, an odd precaution for a man contemplating suicide. Within weeks, the spheres themselves had disappeared from the Ballymena area. Father Brennan's records indicate that gentlemen from Dublin removed them in November 1857 under the authority of a government order that the parish priest was not permitted to see. When he inquired at Dublin Castle, he was told no such order existed. Local memory preserves a different story. Older residents of Ballymena claim the military attempted to move the spheres but couldn't. One sphere cracked when struck with a sledgehammer, releasing a shimmer like heat haze, and a smell of ozone and burned metal. After that, the stones were reportedly buried on site, though the exact location has become part of disputed folklore. What can we verify today? Telegraph records confirm that the Belfast-Dublin line experienced unusual signal degradations throughout 1857, particularly in the Ballymena section, where transmissions would echo or repeat without operator input. A retired British signals officer, interviewed in 1923, mentioned rumors of phantom telegrams in Ulster during the Crimean War era, which he attributed to atmospheric interference, but added, "There were certain sections of line we were instructed never to discuss." The granite itself is anomalous. Modern geological surveys of the Singing Fields area have detected magnetic anomalies consistent with buried metallic objects, but excavation permits have been consistently denied by authorities citing archaeological preservation concerns, ironic given that no recognized archaeological site exists in the area. Fragments purported to be from the original spheres surface occasionally in private collections. Testing conducted in 2003 on one such fragment revealed the granite contained trace elements of tungsten and titanium in ratios that don't occur naturally and would have been nearly impossible to alloy in the 1850s or the 1840s if the spheres predated their discovery. What are we left with? A collection of reports that are either evidence of a suppressed Victorian military program or an elaborate rural legend amplified by coincidence and the human hunger for mystery. The pragmatic explanation is that the spheres were natural granite formations worn round by glacial action, that their acoustic properties were misinterpreted, and that Dr. Blackwood's disappearance was tragically mundane. But pragmatic explanations struggle with certain facts: the geometric precision beyond contemporary craftsmanship, the documented electromagnetic response, the systematic official denial, and the anomalous geology. If the spheres were natural formations, why remove them so urgently? If Blackwood's research was mere provincial fantasy, why has his paper been lost from multiple archives? Perhaps the truth lies not in secret military programs but in something more fundamental: the moment when human technology became sophisticated enough to detect natural phenomena we still don't fully understand. Telegraph lines crisscrossing the landscape might have revealed properties of stone, earth, and magnetism that intersected in ways Victorian science couldn't explain. The spheres might have been both ancient and revolutionary, both natural and inexplicable. Or perhaps, in the fog-shrouded peat bogs of Ulster, something more deliberate was being tested, and when it hummed to life under the stars, responding to invisible signals traveling through copper wire, someone decided the experiment had revealed too much, too soon. The fields north of Ballymena are quiet now. The telegraph lines are long gone, replaced by fiber optics that carry no electromagnetic pulse to wake sleeping stones. But on certain nights, locals will tell you, if you press your ear to the ground in the old singing fields, you can still hear something, a low vibration, a resonance that might be earth settling or might be something else entirely, still waiting for the right frequency to call it back to life. The stones remember. Whether we choose to listen is another question entirely.